Hello and welcome to Friday Faction Focus, and today we are covering the Black Legion, Baden's Own. So we're going to go through a bit of the background of the Black Legion, the model range, how they play on the battlefield, and how to get started into a Black Legion force. So first off, before we get too far down the rabbit hole, Tom, what resources have you used in researching tonight's topic of the Black Legion?
Well, I had a little look in the Chaos Codex. However, because of the particular portion I'm doing, I've had to go a little bit more online, and obviously some books and stuff that I have been recently listening to, which have helped. So I've read some of the Horus Heresy Siege novels, or listened to, I should say, recently, which has helped me in my pre-Heresy Black Legion content.
Yep.
And a few lexicon and fandom bits and pieces online. Just zipping through some bits, and of course Games Workshop websites and all that business. All the usual stuff.
Yeah, the usual stuff. For myself, I have used several Chaos Codexes. I've got, for instance, the Traitor Legion book here. I've got the Black Legion supplement there, which is surprisingly useful. I've got the old Chaos Codex here. I have got another Chaos Codex here. I've also got another Chaos Codex here.
You have way more books than me on Chaos. I don't know why that might be.
Chaos is my topic. I love Chaos. Anyway, before we go down that route, what we do when we cover a Chaos Marine Force or a standard Space Marine Force is we'll go to the 30k aspect of that army, and one of us cover the 40k aspect of that army, basically because you get the history of the force and where they are now and how they may or may not have changed, or what remains 10,000 years on within the Legion or chapter. So Tom, you are going to be covering the 30k.
Oh god, yes.
The Black Legion. Of course,
yes.
They weren't known Black Legion, which we'll get into in a minute.
No.
And I'll cover the 40k aspect of the Black Legion. So, Tom, do you want to get started on the Black Legion?
Well, no. I don't want to start with the Black Legion, actually.
Oh, really? Who do you want to start with?
I want to start with the Emperor's Wolves.
Oh.
And I know that may sound even weirder.
Yeah, that does sound weird. I think you mispronounced it.
No, I have not. Because during my research, I found that before they became the other one that you're thinking of, that's what the moniker they were given while they were crusading with the Emperor without their Primarch. So just as a little tidbit of information. So they've had several reiterations. Anyway, so obviously I sighed a little bit when you said 30k bit, because it's a shame we haven't got longer to talk about it, because there's so much stuff in the 30k, as you can imagine, for this particular force, because it's one of the key reasons lots of chaosy things for Marines actually happened. I mean, other than that other Legion, the one that you like. I mean, yeah. But yeah, so and I was just trying to condense it into something that we can sort of listen to. So I'm going to miss out a fair bit of stuff, but we were talking earlier, and we hope we'll come back and we'll maybe just do a few segments on the Horus Heresy at some point, because it's such a cool. Such a cool era. So anyway, starting with obviously this particular Space Marine Legion was obviously formed starting with the Emperor, because he put it together to go out to start his Great Crusade to start with, and during his particular time, the forces that he'd recruited became very reputable shock troops. So very good at kind of causing lots of damage very quickly, very to the point, that was their kind of style, and they got the nickname of kind of the Emperor's Wolves to start with, which is an interesting little thing, because obviously this crusade eventually brought them to Cathonia, where
who did they find?
They found Horus Lupercal.
Oh, yes. Is he important?
He's slightly important within the history of 40k. And 30k, and he's got some.
I don't believe you, Tom.
Well,
I'll let you run with this.
Let me run with it. But it's actually quite interesting, because the other thing I found out that actually they recruited off that world as well. Not necessarily before they found Horus there. I think there was it was a bit weird, but they tended to steal some of the people from there, like kidnap them. It was interesting, but eventually, obviously, they found Horus. The Emperor found Horus, and pretty much there wasn't really much kind of like, oh, I don't want to go with you. I don't feel like we connect kind of thing. A lot of other Primarchs had that particular problem where they're like, oh, I'm not too sure about the Emperor. So not all of them, but some of them obviously did.
Yep, some of them. Yep.
Whereas,
Angron.
yeah, Angron for one. Yeah, Mortarion, I don't think was
Yep.
too
He
fond of him
wasn't
either.
overly.
But I think Horus was instantly like, oh yeah, I can see eye to eye with you. We're good. And then he basically, I think there's two versions of the story. Either the Emperor took him back to Terra, or he went to Terra of his own volition himself, because that's kind of how amicable the meeting was. And obviously he was then explained that you're one of my sons, so to speak. You're my a Primarch, and I'm going to give you this legion. And this legion, which was obviously not really had a proper name, but then became the Lunar Wolves. Okay, so and obviously their main recruiting planet was the planet of Chthonian, where Horus was found. So they did
Yep.
carry on recruiting from there. And obviously armor style, they had kind of a white armor, had a wolf's head with I think it was the crescent moon over that as well. And essentially at the beginning of the Great Crusade, he spent a lot of time with the Emperor, fighting with him because it was actually quite a while before they found another Primarch. So he was with the
I
Emperor.
think Russ was the one.
Yes, that's right. Because I remember him.
after-
Yeah, from what I understand, when he met Russ, he wasn't that enthused with him.
No, he didn't want
Yeah.
to share his dad,
No,
did he?
not really. I think that was one of the biggest, one of the issues there, and essentially, but he eventually obviously accepted him. He saw he as a tool, not as in that kind of tool, but a tool to do certain jobs,
Yeah.
and insisted that he obviously came on the Crusade with the Emperor. And obviously they spent many years crusading together quite happily. And eventually they gathered more Primarchs together, and the Lunar Wolves were obviously with them, and they became quite a powerful iconic force within the Great Crusade. They had a lot of things like tactics like the spearhead was one of their main attack formations. They were very good at dropping the tip of the spear, so to speak. And obviously there was another chap in this particular loadout called Mr. Ezekiel Abaddon, which was the first captain of the Lunar Wolves, and he was also part of the Mournival, which was kind of like a trio of kind of captains.
Four of them, wasn't it?
Oh no, sorry, you're quite right. It was which basically which were there to essentially sort of question Horus in a way, to make sure, keep him kind of like grounded in his own, which is sort of, I know. And this kind of worked for a while, I suppose, until things started to go a little bit haywire, which is what we'll get to.
Yeah.
But anyway, so as the Crusade progressed, the Emperor had to get back to doing something at Terra. Now I say something because that's exactly what he said. He wouldn't actually say what the hell he was doing. And so there came a point when the Orcs turned up, and this is at Ulanor, otherwise known as, I believe, Armageddon, which is the planet.
Yeah.
And essentially Horus led them to victory in this particular one. It was one of his greatest kind of victories, where he had the biggest involvement in dealing with the problem. And it was a big, tough fight. There's lots of stuff going on. And I think at the end of that, the Emperor went, I can trust you with leading my Great Crusade, basically. Will I go back to Terra to do my something?
Yeah, definitely. I think what's like quite interesting with that is that, like, obviously we know where this is going.
Yeah.
But essentially Horus, if you look into any research of the other Primarchs, they always go quite aloof, but was a really good friend of Horus.
Yes.
It's pretty much, wherever they go, relationship with other Primarchs, Horus is always up there with like being the best bro in the group. Like he's the one they all go to with issues. Like,
although, until this particular point, I might add, because this actually did cause a little bit of friction.
Yes.
Carry
on.
No, that's fine. It's a very valid point, because he had the ability. It wasn't just with the Primarchs. He had the ability to he had a calming presence, and people would listen to him and kind of do as he said in a way. Not really maybe knowing why, but just because he had a soothing kind of presence. Very charismatic. That's the one. That's the word I was looking for. But obviously there were some Primarchs that when they heard he was going to become the War Master of the Great Crusade, that they weren't very happy. I mean, even Angron wasn't very happy about it. I think the Lion wasn't very happy about it. But there were, on the flip side, there were the majority of them were kind of like, fine, that's cool.
Yeah,
he's a good.
It wasn't that surprising, really.
No,
They might be disappointed, but they go,
yeah.
Dad spent the most time with Horus. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Kind of, he was the
Fair.
first he found, all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, at that point, they're obviously still known the Lunar Wolves, and however, when the one thing that started a little bit of a crack in Horus's head, so to speak, was his father wouldn't tell him what he was doing, and I think it always niggled at him that he wouldn't ever let him in on his full grand plan. And he always felt that there's something going on, and I don't know what it is, but I should know what it is. I'm the War Master. That kind of attitude. And obviously, a lot of probably the other primates had a similar feeling. And essentially, he then went off to carry on the Great Crusade, where his father the Emperor went back to Terra, and then the Lunar Wolves started to obviously lead certain parts of the Crusade, and they eventually met this race called the Interrex, if I was saying that right, which are obviously quite a powerful set of beings in themselves. And it was shortly after meeting them that Horus felt that he needed to stamp his name on the Legion, literally. He wanted them to be the sons of Horus. That was it. He wanted to make the other primates know that these are my sons. They're doing as this is it's essentially a way to say toe the line. I'm leading it. This is my putting his stamp of authority on it. So he actually changed the Legion name to Sons of Horus. And he basically had the armor repainted green, and I think there was like the Eye of Horus was put on it to kind of symbolise his, I suppose not the all-seeing eye. I don't know. It was something like that anyway. But he's watching you. He's watching you. Yeah.
I see
yeah.
you.
Now, however, on the flip side of this, while this is all going on, there's a certain other legion called the Word Bearers. Mr. Lorgar, Erebus, one of his, I think he was the first chaplain, wasn't he? And what's his face? I can't remember his name. Leak, that's the one. Where obviously had been spreading a thing called the Warrior Lodge. Social club for Space Marines who which was actually completely outlawed by the Emperor, really. He didn't like it going on. He's not, because it was basically instilling that kind of religious sect style, kind of cult style thing of brother. Obviously it was all disguised as we're brotherhood, we're brothers. That age old thing going on there. And this started to sneak into every single legion. That was kind of the Word Bearers' plan. This is actually where it all started, and obviously, but I'd say more so in the Sons of Horus to a certain degree, because they were I think they all liked that particular thing. There's part one of the Mournful Loken, who I might say, who wasn't a member of it, but found out that all the other members were, except for himself.
Awkward, isn't it? Really.
But that just shows you that for them, because
a club and you're not.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, this is one of these things that started to maybe wear the loyalty towards the Emperor a little bit thin, just a little bit, not much yet, because that didn't quite happen yet. It was actually the next stage that obviously Horus got wounded by. I'm trying to remember what was the name of the weapon? I've just lost it in my head now. It was a
stabby plaguey sort of.
Yeah, it was an alien weapon. I think it was actually stolen from the Interrex, wasn't it? By Fulgrim?
Yeah,
I think cause that's what kind of.
I mean, all this is featured in the first 3 books. Of
I'm not going to go too much more detail. So anyway, so essentially, in a nutshell, he got wounded by it. He got very ill, and the Lunar Wolves, obviously loving their father Horus so much, they wanted to get him kind of fixed up. And the Erebus was like, I know some chaps, Serpent
always
Lodge.
Trust a word bearer.
Yeah, there's a place called Davin. It's not Star Wars. And there is the Serpent Lodge where they can heal him. Okay, so he goes there and he gets basically sent down there to get healed. And Erebus is obviously saying, "Don't worry about it, I've got this," and sort of takes him in and sorts all that. And essentially, it's a chaos ritual. But they don't know what chaos is because they haven't been told anything. So Sons of Horus is very ignorant about this whole thing. Although I think most of them were a little bit suspicious of the whole thing, really. And anyway, so he got essentially during this healing process, he was subjected to visions showing him various outcomes of what's going to happen, how the Emperor behaves, and this is where the seeds of corruption took place, essentially. So that the Sons of Horus, this is where their big falling point was, when Horus essentially became corrupted, even with his brothers like Magnus bursting into these visions and trying to stop it. Couldn't turn him away, and when he awoke, he basically agreed to become essentially part of the chaos cult, so to speak. A bit quieter. It wasn't quite as like I'm going to be chaos as he came out. It was more like I've got a job to do here, and I need to do it very carefully, very quietly, very sneaky. Because this is the fall of the Sons of Horus essentially. And this led to a thing called Istvan 3, where essentially they gathered all the legions that had sided with Horus with them, and then they'd gone through their whole lot and gone all their legionaries and gone, right, these guys we can trust to be on our side when we do turn, and this lot we can't. So we're going to send this lot, the people that we can't trust, onto the surface altogether. So I believe this was Sons of Horus. Who was it? It was Death Guard. Yeah, yep. Death Guard. They all went down. All these people that they couldn't trust went down to the city in the disguise of destroying a planet in a very big hammer blow to show off that we're going to kill. Don't stand up to us. And essentially, this turned out to be that it was a very big trap, and it eventually ended up with the whole planet being virus bombed, every exterminatus essentially level of munitions going down it. Didn't quite kill everyone. So Angron got a bit angry, went down there, tried to sort it out, and then it all escalated into a bit of a farce really towards the end. Not quite going to plan, but at the end of the day, they managed to put everyone they didn't trust down there. That was that bit. And then to really seal the full fall, because obviously that's pretty bad, turning on your brothers. But then when you call in reinforcements for something that's going on at another location, which is Istvan 5, this is the drop site massacre I'm referring to. He called in some other legions and said we need help down here, got them all to deploy on the thing with the other traitor legions now, and then essentially ambushed all them as well. Pretty much
traitor sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much wiping out the likes of the Salamanders and the Raven Guard.
Iron Hands.
Completely. I mean, almost wiped out. And then to Horus, that was and essentially, and now obviously word by now has probably got out that Horus ain't a very nice chap, and his legions have fallen, and all these people are with him. So like the World Eaters, the Death Guard, all these people have joined him. And then that bit ends, and then there's basically a massive war that goes on for several years from that point, and eventually culminating in the Siege of Terra. So obviously Horus arrives at Terra. There's this big warp storm that eventually catapults everything into the area. I don't want to go into too much detail because there's several books on this, so I don't want to ruin it for anyone. But obviously hopefully everyone knows the story of Horus. If you don't, just stop listening for a bit and come back.
Just mute us.
Just come back in a little bit,
and I'll wave.
Yeah.
when the spoilers are over.
Yes. So essentially, Horus is then sieging Terra for many days, gradually falling more and more into the clutches of chaos, becoming more corrupted, psychically and physically, and obviously when he senses that it's not going to quite go his way, he drops the shield on his battle barge to tempt his father to come up to deal with him, which obviously the Emperor does do, along with Sanguinius and I believe Dawn and a few other first company.
A lot of them went up to beat up.
And and obviously the Sons of Horus are all still fighting at this point on the planet and various locations. It's all going on, but they don't really know what this is obviously about to happen. Emperor and Sanguinius go up. Sanguinius gets basically butchered pretty quickly by the buffed up Horus. And then the Emperor tries to stop his son, and but doesn't quite have the heart to kill him. So until he realizes, after even Horus himself realizes with the psychic kind of awakening, so to speak, that he can't be trusted, because he does come back, he snaps out of it for a bit and realizes, crap, what have I done? This is just horrible. Finish me. I can't be trusted. I'll go back to chaos. Emperor kills him. That is essentially at that point. That's probably when the Sons of Horus end. At that particular point, because they basically all retreat with the war. Well, yeah.
Into that. Yeah.
Yeah. But all I'm going to say, the last bit I'm going to add on here is that essentially from that point forward, they all retreat to the Eye of Terror with Abaddon. And I don't know, have you got the bit about clones in your bit, or you?
Yeah. There's a little bit of clones. I'll cover the clones.
That's okay, because I didn't want to go, because there's a little bit of crossover. I didn't want to steal your thunder. Yeah. So, because essentially, I've just got to because I could carry on a little bit, but I've left it there. So essentially, they go to the Eye of Terror with Abaddon now, essentially, not quite in charge, but sort of just he's the first captain. They're listening to him, but however, they're very ashamed. They take the body of the War Master with them as well. That's the other thing. So they take that away with them on the Vengeful Spirit. So that kind of brings us to the point where the Sons of Horus are just about there. I mean,
Yeah,
they're pretty
yeah.
messed up as well. To be fair, they're not the biggest legion anymore. Let's put it that way.
Nah, they had
No.
a bit of a pounding at
Yeah.
the Siege of Terror there. Okay, so that kind of leads on nicely to the 40k, 40-ish K aspect of the soon-to-be Black Legion. So at this point, it's all the Sons of Horus. Obviously, they go into the Eye, find a nice little planet, pop Horus on it, big kind of monument to Horus.
Perfect.
The other legions also, most of them have, not all of them, most of them have also retreated into the Eye. And similar to the Sons of Horus, they have been battered. They are divided. They have lost so many. They were close to victory, and yet Horus threw it all away. Not just Horus, the Sons of Horus threw it away. And so they're very bitter, very angry, and what becomes known as the Legion Wars starts kicking off. So unfortunately for the Sons of Horus, they are pretty much the punching bag for most of the other legions, and they are beaten black and blue. And slowly they get dwindled down. They start separating. It's almost like everyone for themselves. Let's get out of here. We need to survive somehow. So they're scattered. They're hunted down, especially by the Emperor's children. At some point as well, the Emperor's children yoink Horus's body from the monument and take off with it. Anyway, so what happens? The Lunar Wolves, so we're going to get somewhere very shortly. The Lunar Wolves are pretty much no more anymore. War bands. A few of them, though, they have to be united once more. And so they go out on a mission to find Abaddon, the first captain, the one guy they know, a lot like Horus, very charismatic, can bring the Legion back. So they go on a little quest. They eventually find Abaddon. Abaddon is pretty disillusioned at this point from what he knew as his home legion. And at this point, he decides, Lunar Wolves are no more. We've had our go. We've had our attempt at victory. Horus let us go. Horus was weak. We're going to start something new. We're no longer going to be looking up to our Primarch fathers. We are going to do this for ourselves. So what they do is basically they burn their armor clean of any symbols, any colors, and so they are known and baptized as the Black Legion. Their color scheme then goes from whatever it was before to black and gold. Now on the armor as well, because at this point now for the Heretic Astartes, they start, and previously towards the end of the 30k of the Horus Heresy, some of them have started to go towards gods. So some Black Legion, you'll see, will have different kind of shoulder pads. The shoulder pads will reflect on which god they particularly want to follow. But anyway, let's just say black and gold for now. And so Abaddon goes out on this crusade as such, and starts to recruit other war bands, starts to reunite some of the Sons of Horus under the new banner of the Black Legion. And like I say, he's very charismatic. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to get people to do what he wants. So a lot of these smaller war bands join up with Abaddon. Others, though, see it as some sort of like bastard kind of legion. They don't follow their father, and so in fact they're kind of frowned upon. But slowly over time within the Eye, they kind of go on these little conflicts. For instance, they go and go after Horus's body, they destroy it. There's a bit of a conflict with some clones, and Abaddon essentially kills a clone of Horus. So he's at this point, Abaddon's kind of slowly becoming his name again. Like the Black Legion is establishing themselves. They're starting to do these daring attacks. Their numbers are growing slowly, and in the Eye, I mean, especially, this is for future videos and past videos, Heretic Astartes within the Eye, logistics are terrible. They've got no supplies, recruits. They've got to try and get slaves. It's not nice. It's really hard for a Chaos Legion or Chaos Force to maintain any form of organization. And at this point, Abaddon knows this. He's slowly starting to work out what he needs to do. He's recruiting more war bands under his banner. And gradually over time, he is becoming a very big name within the eye. So his legion suddenly goes from one of the smallest, because as I said, they were getting beaten by the other legions. They're almost gone. To then suddenly, I think the largest legion within the eye. Now, as I said, not everybody within the Black Legion is a son of Horus. There are all different war bands, different legions that have come in and pledged themselves to Abaddon. Abaddon will accept anyone as long as they pledge themselves to him and the Black Legion, because once again, he doesn't necessarily believe in the gene seed way, as in like I, for instance, am an arm warrior. Portorabo is my Primarch. We're only going to associate with other Iron Warriors. Abaddon knows, look, those days are gone.
Yeah.
We need to get on the new train here, and we need to get everybody working together. We need to be united here. If we ever got to stand a chance against the Imperium in the long war, we need to make sure that we're all on the same page. No more infighting. So, I mean, the Black Legion, unlike other legions, are probably one of the most structured, as in they know what they need to do. And throughout all these legion wars, other legions are falling apart left, right, center. They're becoming war bands. Like, for instance, the World Eaters. You can't even call them a legion anymore. There's war bands everywhere. Night Lords, very similar as well. Alpha Legion, who knows? Iron Warriors are constantly purging themselves. Like, they're getting rid of suspicious people and getting rid of them. So next to the Word Bearers, they have the most structure, military structure. And like I said, they're bigger than the Word Bearers. The Word Bearers, we'll get into them in another video. But yeah, they're basically, Abaddon's just almost like he's using his charisma where he can to get these other war bands on side. Where he can't use his charisma, he is brutal. He just wipes people out. He essentially goes, okay, so your war band doesn't want to join us. Well, I'm going to kill you. And then your second in command might think otherwise, and then we'll sign up with me. So yeah, the warband is absolutely huge. The legion's absolutely huge, and within them they've got different sects for the different gods, for instance. So he's got like the Hounds of Abaddon, which are like his shock troops. They follow Khorne. They love getting into a melee and really doing the nasty stuff. He's then got the Sons of the Cyclops. So Abaddon has embraced, in a lot of ways, what chaos is. Unlike Horus kind of introduced everyone to chaos and the chaos gods as such. He knew, he found this power, he started to harness it and do his stuff. Abaddon was alongside him, and then suddenly he's within the Eye of Terror.
Yeah.
He's living alongside demons. He knows all about this now. He's, pardon the expression, he is cock-teasing the Chaos Gods.
Yes, just good. Yeah.
Yeah, he because the Chaos Gods knew how powerful Abaddon was going to get, and as we all know, is it the Great Game? But the Chaos Gods are always playing this game against each other, always fighting.
Well, even Layak knew, didn't he? During the Heresy,
yeah, exactly.
He knew what Abaddon was going to become.
They all want Abaddon to be one of theirs. So like Khorne, like, oh, come on, Abaddon, you can be one of my boys. And Tzeentch is like, blah, 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 blah. But Abaddon knows this. He knows the minute he gives himself to one god, he's gone. He becomes a demon prince. He's no longer Abaddon anymore. He's a demon prince. So he is constantly playing them off against each other, not pledging loyalty to any particular god. But he's like, look, I'll work for all of you guys. Give me a bit more power. Maybe one day I might go to you. But essentially, he's never going to go to any of them. He's just
undivided.
He is truly undivided.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, we got like the Sons of the Cyclops, which are the Tzeentch followers of the Black Legion. And they are basically like the advisors, the soothsayers, the guys that Abaddon will go to for advice and go, well, what do you see in the future? How do I achieve this? And they'll say, ooh, well, look into the bones. Ooh. And hopefully that will work. It doesn't work. And they'll say he's got the Bringers of Decay, so they're the Nurgle followers within the Black Legion. I say they kind of go through everybody. And then finally, you've got the Children of Torment. So they are the followers from Slaanesh. Now, there seems to be this overall conflict with the Emperor's children, and the Children of Torment are seen by the Emperor's children as traitors. Because they're following Abaddon rather than following Slaanesh. So there's always this conflict going on. And Emperor's children, throughout the history of the Black Legion, have always been this force in the background, constantly like harassing them and trying to rip them apart.
They just don't want to play along.
They don't want to play along. Maybe they've got some other game.
I mean, it's Emperor's children. I mean, they just want to.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to play with the Emperor's children.
No, they're not. They're just weird. And non-coherent. They're all after their own selves. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So Abaddon's he's got a little empire in the eye. A lot of warbands follow him, and I think any other warband that isn't necessarily pledged to the Black Legion know not to go against the Black Legion now. Yeah. If you're asked to do something by Abaddon, it's probably a good idea to do it, because otherwise you're going to be doing it, or your friends are going to be doing it, and you're going to be dead. So it is almost like a mafia thing, really, isn't it? That he's running the eye like some sort of massive cartel.
I think the only person that ever kind of stood up to him was the it's gone for my Blackheart.
Yeah, Huron Blackheart.
Yeah, because so he
sees himself as like a rival to Abaddon. I mean, definitely. Realistically, probably not, but he is definitely a rival in some ways.
Maybe in strategy rather than physicality.
And talking of strategy, Tom, we'll get on to the Black Legion and strategy. So the Black Legion, they're all about close quarters fight, not necessarily melee. They're like your rapid firing into other squads. They're like a constant. When they wage war, they like to be relatively close. And it's very continuous. So they will constantly just keep battering. And then finally, they'll do some sort of mass assault at the end.
Yeah.
They'll do the killing blow. And that, a lot of the times, as far as I know, will be like the Terminator. So it'll be like the
Spearhead.
Yeah, you don't want to get on the wrong side of the Black Legion.
He's very similar to how he used to fight for the Lunar Wolves. In that way, you know, the tip of the spear with lots of hard hitting things at the to go straight to the point of the matter.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the Black Legion, the Sons of Horus and the Black Legion, are veteran fighters. Like I said, they haven't. Although you have followers for different gods, the majority of them are pretty much undivided.
Yeah.
And they have, from what I can tell, from what I've read, they are very much still with it. They know what's going on. They're not kind of crazed berserkers. They're not kind of nurgly, plaguey guys. They're as sharp as they probably were 10,000 years ago.
They haven't given themselves over. That's the key.
They are veterans. They are nasty fighters, and so you don't want to be going up against them because they're Black Legion. So, like I said, a lot of warbands join the Black Legion. The Black Legion isn't just Astartes, though. Now they have Chaos Knights. They'll have like bands of cultists. They'll have renegades and heretics. Everything falls under Abaddon's umbrella of chaos. He's built this mighty war host that nobody can contend with, unfortunately. And it pains me saying this because I play word bearers, and I don't like someone else being more powerful than the word bearers.
You started it, though.
Yeah, we did. Maybe they're under our umbrella. Yeah, so essentially Black Legion, massive force. And every so often, every few generations, they will launch what's known as a Black Crusade. A Black Crusade, we'll probably go into them a little bit later as well. But a Black Crusade essentially is uniting as many Chaos forces as you can and popping out the Eye of Terror and going after particular goals.
Yeah.
A lot of the goals are unknown at the time. Some of them seem quite obvious. Like they're going after these Forge Worlds. Oh, we got to protect them. But secretly, that the right hand's doing this, but the left hand's doing that, and you don't necessarily know.
It
like,
turned out he'd done very well with that as well. It obviously took up to 13th Black Crusades. Yeah,
he's done well, and we can't badmouth him for that. So really, that's the Black Legion. They are a devastating force in the 41st millennium. They're pretty numerous, and Abaddon is definitely leading through character. Like, a very charismatic person. He's very forceful. He knows what he wants, and he is just going to go for it. So that is Black Legion. I think I've covered a lot of 40k. So we've covered the 30k aspect of Black Legion. We have covered the 40k aspect of Black Legion. So, Tom, what are your experiences? Have you ever played against a Black Legion army, or have you ever played a Black Legion army?
No, bizarrely, I don't think I have, which is actually a shame because I think it'd be quite cool. I've played lots of Chaos armies, but I've not played against a Black Legion army. I don't believe, unless you can think of a doubles one that we've done that we have. I can't.
No, I don't think we have. I've played against Black Legion before myself. But,
I mean, I'd like to play against them. I think it'd be quite a cool matchup actually. Get the old Templars out and have a bit of a Barney. Yeah, that's your next army. Don't get collecting.
I would do. I'll try and find some.
But no, but no, I haven't. Not myself, and I haven't played them myself either. I mean, obviously I could do because I have a Chaos Force, but I am kind of Night Lordy, so it doesn't really work.
You've got to be dedicated to playing Black Legion. I played Black Legion back in 2nd edition when Abaddon first came out.
Ah, cool.
Obviously the rules were a little bit different then, but mine was Black Legion. I think I played against them before there, but normally when you see a Black Legion army, it's very undivided. There's a lot of rules now for Black Legion, so it's not surprising to see some Terminators in there as well. They've got obviously the new Abaddon model, which we'll get into a little bit later, but he's got some tasty rules to make like a fearless blob of Chaos Marines around him.
But I mean, you sort of say they're kind of a balanced Chaos Force. They tend to use lots of bits and pieces to try and make it the most effective fighting force they can.
Yeah,
I think that's how you would. They don't
necessarily sort of, one way or another. They're very central.
I would definitely expect to see Terminators there. That's one thing I'd say. I think. And lots of Chaos Space Marines. I think that makes sense.
Definitely. It's a very nice kind of force. But you don't see too many of them at the moment. I think probably going forward you might see some more. At the moment they're kind of. It's a shame, but not a great deal of them.
Well, for the one of the key forces, if you obviously go through what we've done, they are quite a pivotal force in 40k. They caused a lot of damage. Even from back in the Heresy era, and it'd be nice to see a bit more.
Yeah, they're basically like the Ultramarines of Chaos. Though,
I think that's
like when you see in Astartes, they're always painted Ultramarine. A lot of time they paint Ultramarine, and like because of Chaos, a lot of time they painted Black Legion. So Tom, have you got a Black Legion character you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, well, and so I was going to. I picked. I mean, I'm not too familiar with lots of Black Legion characters, so I picked one that is a bit more recent, I think, from what I understand. So it's Harken, World Claimer.
Okay.
All right. Obviously, this chap mainly popped up recently in Vigilus, in the Vigilus Ablaze book, wasn't it? That's the one. Is that correct? Or Conquest of Vigilus?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's obviously got himself a nice little jump pack. And he's quite a. By the way, I have picked this for my model, so I'll put the image up in a bit. I'm just going through him now, obviously.
Okay, so go through his story bits, and then we'll go through.
And obviously one of the key things is he became the mouthpiece of Abaddon.
Adam.
And essentially what he would do for his War Master, aka Abaddon, is to go to worlds that maybe were going to be conquered, and he would go there to proclaim they're about to be conquered, which I think is a really cool thing. He'd go there, take his Hell Spear, and sort of go, bam, by the way, you're screwed. And people are like, whatever, and then literally, obviously, with Vigilus as an example, a few days later, lo and behold, it all turns up and kind of kicks off. But yeah, that's I don't really know a huge amount about him, but that's the character he is. He's he's that kind of he's like a foreboding figure that turns up before big battles to kind of explain what's about to
Yeah,
happen to
yeah, it's very Silver
yeah,
Surfer-esque, isn't it? Really,
and
he turns up
and
before Galactus.
yeah, precisely, and he's sort of he's saying what's going to happen, which is obviously which helps chaos in a way that because it leads to fear, and that's the whole point. You can see that his character's been produced to produce fear in the planet that's about to fall, or the area that's about to fall. They go, "Oh, is it Abaddon coming?"
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, he
Yes, he
is.
is coming.
And it's like, are you sure? And then it's just like, yes.
Yeah, no, honestly, he said he's coming.
Yeah,
So.
he doesn't lie.
No.
So yeah, that's who I pick because I think it's just quite a cool one. He's a bit more recent. So yeah. What about yourself?
So I picked Abaddon, basically because he's awesome. As I've already covered before in my little bit about the Black Legion and 40k. Obviously, he was around in 30k. 31st millennium. The right-hand man of Horus himself, and he was pretty notorious back then. And you kind of see as the Horus Heresy novels go, they're obviously aiming. They're like, we know where Horus is going with this. We all know how this story ends, but they're definitely leading on to like Abaddon has a greater story ahead of him.
Yeah,
and he was. For this one person, he has basically had all the Chaos Gods wanting him, most of the other legions wanting either to join him or to kill him, and yet somehow he's been able to establish this massive force and unite chaos in a way that no other person has been able to do, and rip the galaxy in two. And, it's quite a massive achievement for this guy that's been around for over 10,000 years.
Well,
he's notorious. He's killed some people, some notorious characters. He's also been able to... He's almost like a plot device as well. If you read Black Library novels, he'll suddenly appear.
Yeah.
It might not be about him, but he's like, poof, he's there.
Which I must admit, I think of a couple of books I read, Space Marine novels. Yeah, it was. I think it was Pandorax, I think.
Yeah, Pandorax is there. He appears in the Night Lord books as well, and in a couple of the Khan of Betrayal books. He's just there. He's the big bad in Games Workshop term, chaos-wise, and I think he's pretty incredible that he's been able to go have a nice incarnation from this tiny guy in second edition to obviously what he is now. He is the figurehead of chaos in the 41st millennium. If you think chaos, you normally think Abaddon. First character you'd name would be Abaddon, in my opinion. So yeah, I think he's pretty cool, very charismatic, pretty brutal and ruthless at the same time. Like he'd probably chat to a heretic Astartes and be able to tell that Astartes, like if he was a Lunar Wolf, he'd be able to tell him all his history. But at the same time, he'd be willing to kill him at the same time.
Yeah.
So he's very powerful in a lot of ways, and I've got a lot of time for Abaddon. So yeah, that's my character. Now, is that gonna lead on now to Games Workshop models? I think it should.
Very well.
Do you want to go on to your character, Tom? Go back to.
Yeah, we'll get Harken up. So just give me 1 second, and we'll get a little image up of him here, so we can all kind of see in his glory.
Yep.
Okay, there we are. He should be hopefully on the screen now. There we go. I presume you have a picture of him as well.
I'm pretending he's here.
He's pretending he's here. So yeah, as you can see, he's got himself a nice jump pack there, and the demon spear, the hell spear, which I think looks awesome. I must admit, actually, when I first saw this model, when they did the Vigilist books, I actually, a lot of people sort of like, oh, but I actually really liked it. To be fair, I don't know how much he gets used on the tabletop. I don't really see him about.
Yeah, I don't think he does. I don't think rules-wise he's that great.
No.
Which is a shame because he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love him. I think he's very good. He's a very good base for models. Like that pose is pretty dynamic.
Well, you don't see a lot of jump back ones like that, especially with the spear. The spear is quite cool because
everyone loves a spear, don't they? or a javelin.
But also, he's very Black Legion as well, which is what I like. You got that nice armor on there. But he's got the look on there, and I like the face mask of the skull. Looks pretty sweet as well. So yeah, and personally, if I was going to do another Chaos Army, I'll probably Black Legion would be up there, and this guy would definitely be in. Obviously,
cool.
I mean, sadly, there's not an awful lot of choice for Black Legion specifically. Which probably brings us on to.
Yeah, well, actually, before you do that, I'm just like Harken. My comment about Harken is like for Chaos players in general, and especially for Legions. Harkon is quite a nice addition, as in, like, most of the Legions, like, I'm not going to moan about this. We know my feelings towards Legions, but most of the Legions don't have a special character. A lot of the Legions don't have special characters, but Black Legion now have 2, and I think that's pretty cool. As in, they've literally gone, oh, let's create a brand new guy and put him in Black Legion. Because, like I said earlier, they're like the Ultramarines of Chaos. And to have one character is a bit embarrassing, but Ultramarines have got like maybe half a dozen.
Too many.
Special characters. So then to introduce a new special character, hopefully it's a way forward. That it was like 2 years ago, I think Harken came out. I don't actually know. It was a little while ago.
Yeah, it might have been actually.
I think it's quite cool that obviously they're not scared to introduce new characters. So for other Chaos armies, that's a good sign. Maybe one day we'll get our own Legion characters, but for a character and a nice sculpt like Harken, very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so my one I picked Black Legion model, and we've done Harken. What other Black Legion? And
there we are. Boom.
Big guy. Abandoned a spoiler. So awesome. Okay, that's all I can do.
No. In all seriousness, he's just. I think his model looks incredible. I think the resculpt they did on him the other year is amazing.
Yeah,
he looks like business.
Yeah, I used to have the old 2nd edition model, like when I was a kid, top knot. They all got to have top knot. But when I was a kid, and like if I remember rightly, he had like his talon of Horus here and his sword here, and his talon always used to fall off.
Yeah.
Like, it was a metal model, always used to fall off. And as a kid, I just put more super glue on it. And eventually, it was like just like a solid block of super glue. And I was like, having to chisel it out. It was horrible. And like the model up until whenever this model was released, I think probably end of last year. And that resculpt is astounding. Yeah. That guy is going to live for a very long time, model-wise, before they even think about resculpting him or whatever they're going to do with Abaddon.
I mean, the claw itself alone looks amazing.
Yeah, everything about that model is brilliant. I've seen a lot of conversions for him, and I'm just blown away. Every time I see him on the battlefield, I'm just like...
The other thing, he's big as well, which is nice.
He is big. For Chaos, he's really intimidating.
Because you don't get... I mean, obviously... I know, obviously, with the recent Chaos Marine resculpts, they're a little bit bigger as well, because obviously the whole point is they're not going to be Primaris, they're going to be corrupted by Chaos, and they have this power is drawn in.
A bit more bulky.
Yeah, but with Abaddon, it's like, you've got the power of all 4 gods, essentially. We're going to make you a little bit chunkier.
Yeah.
He wasn't small in the first place, to be fair. So
Oh no, of course not. But he's just, it's just an amazing model, and it makes you kind of proud to see how Games Workshop sculpts have come. And if you did Black Legion, you've got to include Abaddon. There's almost no way you wouldn't include that model in your army, because the rules are pretty cool. The model is astounding, and if you just picked him up to paint, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, good fun.
Yeah, and he's a very attractive model. I love the top knot still.
They did a helm, didn't they, as well?
I might even do a top knot. The way my hair's going at the moment, I could end of quarantine, I might actually rock a top knot.
Please don't.
I'm going to rock a top knot.
You won't be allowed on videos.
No, I will be. I'll have to sit down like this because my top knot will be like up here somewhere. That looks weird. Like top knot. So all I've said, that the model is absolutely breathtaking, and hopefully future Chaos models will have some sort of nowhere near as good as Abaddon, but hopefully it will take away something from that model. because I think he is very attractive. So that's Games Workshop models. Like you said, there's not many on Games Workshop for Black Legion.
No.
Mainly they're undivided though, so they can pretty much help themselves to anything from the
Very true.
Chaos pool, as it were. Now, what about Forge World, Tom?
Well, obviously, Forge World wise is a little bit different because obviously I've gone with. I mean, I think we both picked the Sons of Horus model.
Yep.
I may say because
mainly you can convert them, can't you?
Yes, and so essentially I picked the Legion Command Squad.
Very nice.
And mainly because of the banner.
Yep.
And also, I mean, the axe wielding banner bearer looks cool as well, I must admit. But obviously, I think that banner would look absolutely brilliant with the 8-pointed star and the little eye and the Black Legion symbol dead in the centre on it. I think it would look great, especially if it had a backdrop of black and the yellow on there. I think that would look very, very cool.
Yeah.
And obviously, the amount of bits you can pick up for Chaos stuff and Black Legion is probably quite easy, to be fair. So you could convert these two particular models quite easily, I'd imagine. I don't think there'll be too much tough because I mean the nice thing is a lot of the Forge World stuff can interchange with some of the normal 40k stuff quite happily.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think that would look cool. I mean, yeah, obviously the thing with Black Legion, as we said, there's not an awful lot of models out there for specifically. So if you were to go here, you sort of pick Sons of Horus perhaps, or you just go and pick a generic Chaos vehicle, and then you convert it. Because that's the good thing about Black Legion, because it's not corrupted, it's not been altered anyway. It's pretty much spikes. And you're away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that with any chaos, but obviously because of the key other legions that got corrupted, you had to kind of do a little bit of corruption on them and things like that. Whereas the Black Legion is probably as close as you're going to get to a standard Marine army within a chaos setup.
Yeah, which is quite an interesting thing if you think about it. Like you said, you could pretty much take a lot of Marine stuff, add spikes, and away you go.
Yes.
Rather than if you did Death Guard, you feel like you have to put some green stuff on there, or
yeah, definitely.
Your very weathered paint scheme, Black Legion. You're pretty free to do what you want. If you want to do a weathered Black Legion army, go for it. Because, like I said, Black Legion are such a wide spectrum where you can pick different aspects from that army.
100%.
Right. So if I do my one then,
and here we go, and bam.
I don't know if that works. So I'll do the Sons of Horus Legion Contemptor Dreadnought. A bit like you, Tom, Black Legion unfortunately don't have anything on there. From what I understand, the Legion Dreadnoughts are pretty nice to model. I haven't got any at the moment. I might get one at some point. But I just love the actual picture. I mean, obviously it's a Lunar Wolf paint scheme on it. But the iconography is
Sons of Horus paint scheme.
Yep. My bad. Sons of Horus paint scheme, but the iconography is pretty awesome on there, and you could quite easily think, I know I am Sons of Horus, but just paint me black and call me Black Legion, and the black and gold effect on that would really pop. I think on that model, and I really like it. Like I said, I think it's quite multi-posable, and it definitely sticks out.
There is another big bonus to your model. It doesn't have to be a bloody Hellbrute.
Yes. Yeah.
It can be a Hellforged Contemptor because that is available.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is definitely.
So
I think it's just a really nice model, and it's got a lot of room for, like you said, the add a few spikes. If you want to. I think, in all honesty, I don't think you'd have to add any spikes.
No,
I think you just paint it Black Legion. Yeah. I mean, it's got skulls dangling on a chain between its. Hopefully, there's skulls that are dangling between its legs. Oh my goodness!
It looks like skulls. Don't worry.
Cool model.
Yeah,
cool model.
Right, well.
Right. So we have covered a bit on the background. Some nice new models. And shall we go back into the background and find some notable conflicts?
Well, I'll start with mine because mine's quite a small one. It's more of a kind of a flashpoint, so we say.
Yeah.
So I picked this particular point because obviously I think when essentially after the Black Legion had gone off to the Eye of Terror and all the stuff that Dom's always spoken about has all happened, and then obviously Abaddon then thinks I've got to come out and we've got to do some stuff out in the real space, so to speak. There's a chap that I'm quite fond of called Sigismund, who kind of got wind of this knew that they were sort of coming back. This is at the time when he was leading the Templars, I might add as well. So, and as I understand it, Abaddon had no idea about all this that had gone on with the legions and converting to chapters and being sized down.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you were going to meet any of them, you'd probably wouldn't want to meet the Black Templars because they're not the smallest. Because obviously they have some slight bending of the rules for them.
Loopholes.
Loopholes because they're a crusade, And Sigismund, he likes to make sure he's got many followers for the Emperor. But anyway, so they met in combat, essentially in fleet combat, I believe that's correct. And it ended up with Sigismund getting on to fight Abaddon on a ship, essentially.
Yeah.
And it was as you can imagine. Although I might add, before Sigismund went there, he actually left his sword, the sword of the High Marshals, behind, and took the black sword with him instead.
Whoa, you're in trouble when you're swinging the black sword.
Which is the Emperor's champion's traditional weapon, essentially. That's the and I think part of that was because he wanted to face Abaddon as the knight again, not as the leader of the black. He wanted to be back as the knight because I think he always wanted to kill Abaddon. That was one of his biggest things. So sadly for him, this fight was obviously probably pretty epic. There's a couple of books out there which you should read. Is it Talon, Horus, and Black Legion? Those are two.
Yep. By Mr. Arendowski-Belden.
So and they're very good to read. I actually haven't read them or listened to them myself, which I'm going to have to do.
Oh right, okay. Well, I'm not. There's an important bit to mention after the fight, but I'm not going to spoil it for you, Tom.
That's okay.
But I do highly recommend those books. They're really good.
But essentially, in this fight, this is to show you how hardcore Abaddon is, really. Because I do know this bit about it, because obviously, essentially in this fight, Sigismund managed to essentially plunge the black sword through his heart and lungs. And obviously this would kill probably a lot of Chaos people quite easily. I don't think they could survive. However, Abaddon just with the talon just cuts Sigismund in half, essentially. Just like... But even as he's on the floor, Sigismund is sort of swearing, oh, you'll never be, he's got a few quotes which I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to ruin the book for people, but I kind of already have in certain ways, but...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Dom.
Spoilers.
Too late. But essentially, but he survives this, and that tells you something about Abaddon. He is just literally so favoured, so powerful that he's going to be he's going to be so hard to get rid of. And I think that's such a cool thing about his character, because he's going to be around. So going from point A of being a very honourable Lunar Wolf all the way to this complete opposite end of the spectrum, and still being there this long after everything that's happened, and still being able to put up a really good fight. And I think that's such a cool thing about Abaddon.
Yeah.
So, that's my little flashpoint I picked.
Oh, cool. Cool. Like I said, awesome bit in the books. Really recommend if you haven't read them, go check those books out. Right. So my one is like we mentioned earlier about Black Crusades, and it'll be easy to cover the 13th, maybe the 14th. But I'm going to take you back a little bit, Tom. I'm going to take you back to maybe the 5th.
The 5th? I don't even know what happened in the 5th.
Let me tell you. So the 5th Black Crusade, Abaddon goes out scouring the I think it was Elysia sector, raiding hundreds of worlds, burning cities to the ground, death and destruction on everyone. Obviously the Imperium reacts as the Imperium does. This is the 5th time they've done it now. So they're like, right, we know it's standard procedure, let's all go out there and try and scare them back into the eye or kill them, either way. But the Despoiler lures the Warhawk and the Venerated chapter, Space Marine chapters, on to the planet of Tarif, I think it is. On that planet, he lures them. Now think about this. 2,000 Marines, whole chapters. Lures them into this ruined city, thinking, we're going to get the Despoiler. Kudos for us. Lures them into the city. He then ambushes them with a massive force of corn demons on one side. And on the other side, he has got the Black Legion. And they do this, Tom.
I see.
And brutal fight. But at the end of it, these 2 chapters are completely wiped out. They're gone. They are no longer there. So what they do, obviously, maybe this is part of what the 5th Black Crusade was all about. So like we're saying, like Abandon may be doing this with the right hand, but the actual aim on the left hand is something else. So basically they go around decapitating 2,000 Marines, giving the skulls to Doombreed. So if you're unfamiliar with Doombreed, he is like Khorne's number 2. I think he's probably number 2. And then basically Doombreed takes all the skulls in a big bag.
That's a big
maybe
bag.
A knitted bag. Maybe like boxes.
A Hessian sack.
Hessian sack. A big Hessian sack. Back to Khorne and goes, here's 2,000 skulls for your throne. And Khorne's like, brilliant. I need more skulls. I've got an issue that I need to address.
As he's opening the cupboard door and stuff's just rolling out.
Yeah, skulls everywhere. I'm a bit of a klepto, I know. Call me Cray Cray. And Doombreed's like, I won't call you Cray
As he
Cray,
drinks a cup of blood.
Yeah, but I have 2,000 skulls. And obviously these 2,000 skulls, giving him to Khorne, has some sort of gift, some alternative
payment.
Alternate kind of payment. Yeah, so at some point he's getting Khorne's blessing through giving him 2,000 Astartes heads. Which I think is pretty cool. Like I said, it's all these little aims, all these little things that are going on that people can't quite put together until, unfortunately, as we know in the 13th, it's too late.
Yeah,
he's been working on this for like 1,000 years, and it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I quite like that. I quite like reading about the Black Crusades and kind of working out what the aim was and what's happened in them, because like I said, they're absolutely epic. You can imagine like these massive Black Legion armies just descending on this planet, and as a guardsman you have your little las gun and you try and figure out how to use it to start with. You
haven't even been shown.
No, you've got a little cap on the end, maybe like I've got to take this cap off. I mean, what's his safety do? I don't know.
That's your
but all these like drop ships are coming in, like the sky is black as all these ships are descending. Cultists are everywhere. There's traitor Astartes, Titans are coming down, Knights are coming down, demons are coming out of nowhere, and it's just Black Legion. That's a Black Crusade. It's absolutely mammoth if you think about what's achieved. Definitely. And what happens in these. So that was my little.
Cadia still stands?
It doesn't. It's actually gone.
Ah, damn.
No.
Oh well.
Sorry.
No more Cadia models at least.
Astra Militarum player. I'm like, no, we do, but they're dead. Right, so Tom, we've gone through loads tonight.
We have indeed.
So the last kind of topic we're going to cover tonight is, if I wanted to start collecting Black Legion, where would I start?
Personally, I think this is quite an easy one, really. I mean, to start collecting Chaos Marine, sort of a Chaos Space Marine box, that's pretty spot on. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, pick up the Codex, for goodness sake. I mean, but that kind of goes without saying. I'll just get the. I'm just gonna have a quick look at this myself, because if I remember correctly, the new. Although there is a very nice one. The Battle Force is actually better if you can get hold of it.
Oh, really?
Yes, I don't know if you've
seen.
What,
you get in a Battle Force box for Chaos Space Marines?
Let me see if I can find the kit, because unfortunately, I don't think it's in print anymore, which is a bit of a shame. So you had to kind of have a look around for it. There is some stores are still selling it. I should have prepared this already, but it kind of just came to me as I was.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tom. I'm going to go a little bit on this. There's several boxes you can get. You can get the Shadow Spear one. You can get the one which is just the forces from Shadow Spear and the Codex. Obviously, you've got eBay, which has got loads of models on there. You've got Goblin Gaming. Check them out. There's a link below. Check them out. Helps the channel. And you've got. Oh, sorry. Do you want to take over?
No. I was just going to say it was the Chaos Space Marines Vengeance Warband.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and
the one.
the Chaos Marines have got some new kits that have come out
Yeah.
in the last year or so, and they are really nice models. Like the basic Chaos Marines are pretty cool. The new Terminator is good, and you've got like the Great Possessor. They've got lots of new models that are coming out, which are pretty cool. And like I said, a Baden, can't go wrong with a Baden.
No. And obviously, if you really dedicated to the whole thing, if you want all the books that go along with it, you've got the Chaos Space Marine codes, you've got the Vigilus Ablaze books, Psychic Awakening book, which is now available, and that gives you so much stuff to play games with, really. I mean, it is a shame it's a lot of books to get into it, to get the full. Because in all seriousness, if you want to play Chaos properly, I think you do have to get everything.
Yeah.
Because you need all the tricks to play a decent.
Depends how you want to play. If you want casual games with your mates, you can get the Codex,
fine,
maybe one other book. But if you want to take to an event and hopefully getting maybe a bit more competitive, you probably want to be going down the road. So getting your Psychic Awakening and your Shadow Spear little pamphlet and your Vigilus Ablaze and your Forge World book at some point when that comes out. And loads. And I think for a Black Legion army as well, like I've kind of discussed, is they've got lots of different forces. So you could have a demon detachment.
Yeah.
You can have a Chaos Knight in there. You can have whatever you want. Just chaos.
And a Baden. Just get
a Baden. You have to have a Baden.
All those re-rolls from a Baden. If you play Black Legion, I mean, that's the biggest selling point really there, right?
Yeah, definitely. That is how to collect Black Legion. And I'm after researching all of this. If I didn't have a ton load of Chaos Space Marines already, and Lorgard didn't have my soul, I would probably collect Black Legion because they're very cool. I like the undivided legions, to be honest. Have you enjoyed doing this research, Tom?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's like I said, it's a shame we don't have a lot, more time to do more back history on it because there's so much stuff in it, to be honest, that you can go through. Especially, conflicts-wise, you could go through every Black Crusade if you wanted to, and you have a bit on the Black Legion. You could,
loads, isn't it?
Horus Heresy-wise, there's reams of stuff. But like I said, maybe we can do another video on some of those more interesting points at some point.
Definitely.
But yeah, it is one of my more favourite Chaos factions. Definitely.
Yeah, very characterful, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, we'll wrap this up. If you guys have enjoyed this, please put a comment below what you like about the Black Legion. If you want us to cover any other Chaos Legion or an Imperial Force or a Xeno Force, put a comment below. We absolutely love doing these videos, don't we, Tom? Yes.
Double thumbs up.
Put a comment below and we will cover them. But for now, this is Dom and
Tom
from BlackToad Studios. Take care, and we will see you next time. Toodaloo!